Welcome to another video. In this video, we're going to talk about a polarizing topic in Google Ads, broad match. Broad match has been getting a lot of hate for a long time, but it's slowly but surely starting to get some love. So let's go over some of the pros and cons of broad match. Now, of course, the most obvious pro is a bigger reach and more traffic. Even if the traffic is not completely relevant, the data you gain from this will help you optimize your campaign going forward. And I already mentioned the biggest con there, less relevant traffic. How big the impact of this will be will depend on the scope of your business. The following pros and cons are very general and will be different per account. For example, I have seen a lot of accounts where the average CPC on broad match keywords is lower than the account average. This is probably because there is less competition for these broad match keywords. At the same time, as a con, I have also seen accounts where it leads to a higher average CPC. A higher CPC is most likely because it is less specific, less relevant, your quality score will be lower, and that leaves you with a higher CPC. What I have observed in accounts I have managed is that as a pro, you do gain more conversions. Unfortunately, I have also seen accounts where broad match queries really do not convert that well. And even when it leads to more conversions, that's typically because there's more clicks, which means the conversion rate is lower, which often also translates to a higher cost per conversion. Another important pro is that it gives you IDs for high-performing keywords. Yes, you can use the Keyword Planner or Google Trends or some third-party tools like SEMrush or Ahrefs to prepare a campaign with the best set of keywords. But none of these tools will give you actual data on your campaigns in your account. The con that counters this is that no matter how good broad match has gotten, you still give up some control. Anytime you are sacrificing control in favor of automation, it is important to remain vigilant. So that brings us to some do's and don'ts of using broad match. Do keep an eye on the search terms report. Daily if possible, but it definitely should be a priority anytime you work on the account. Do give it some time, say around 2 weeks, to determine the performance of broad match. During this time, you should add irrelevant keywords to your negatives list, but do give the system time to optimize. Don't turn on broad match today and turn it off tomorrow because you've decided the CPC is too high and you're not getting any conversions. Do give the system as much to work with as possible. Make sure your ad copy is as tight as it can be and use extensions to teach the system more about your product or business. The more relevant info you put in your campaign, the more relevant matches the system will make. If you're not yet familiar with extensions, I do have a video on that as well with a new version coming out soon. There are some situations in which I absolutely do not recommend trying to experiment with broad match. One of them is niche industries. Some businesses are extremely niche. Think of a company that sells beekeeper suits or sells tailor-made pet wheelchairs. However, if these accounts have been running for years and have a very solid negative keywords list, it might be worth to have a little broad match experiment. I would also recommend against using broad match when you're running ads in a language that not a lot of people speak. Broad match is so good now because it had years to learn off of billions of data points. I am from the Netherlands, so I speak Dutch and I manage accounts in both Dutch and English, and I already notice a difference in the quality of the broad matches in English language accounts and in Dutch language accounts. And it makes sense. People often ask me if I can blindly recommend if they should use broad or exact match, and I really can't say. It all depends on your industry, your budget, and your campaign goals. Sometimes it's a viable option to start with broad match so you can get a lot of traffic and fine-tune from there. In most accounts, it's a better idea to start with exact match so the system better understands the intent of your campaign. Then, once you have enough data to your campaign, you can safely expand to broad match. In general, a combination of the two is best. If you're working with a micro budget and literally can't afford to waste a few dollars on irrelevant clicks, stay away from broad match. But do keep in mind that even exact match is not exactly exact, and I've seen some weird matches. And that's why it's important to continuously maintain your negative keywords list. Google also pushes broad match a lot, and some advertisers seem to have made it a sport to just go against everything Google recommends. And with the latest reveals from the antitrust trial, I think the World Cup on it just started. So why does Google push broad match so much? Well, first of all, of course, it makes them the most money. But second, it makes them the most data. And this data feeds the algorithm. The more advertisers adopt broad match, the more data Google is gathering. And this algorithm is what powers the keywordless engine of Google's favorite child, Performance Max. If you look up any pre-2020 article on keyword matching, you will be told to just run away from broad match. But if you look up some articles from 2022 or 2023, you will probably be advised to try to experiment with broad match. Of course, back in the day, broad match modifiers also existed, but that's been deprecated for a while. So that's it for this video. I hope you gained some insights. If you have any questions, please let me know. If you have any ideas for other videos, please let me know. And I hope to see you on the next one.